Good afternoon, everybody. This is the February 6, 2025 meeting of the Chatham Finance Committee. I'm Andy Young. I'm Vice Chair. I'll be leading this meeting today. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29, 2023 signing of the Acts of 2023 extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, until March 31st, 2025. This meeting of the Chatham Finance Committee is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number area code 508-945-4410, conference ID 734-905-24, #, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV, Xfinity Channel 1072, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. This meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly for scheduled and on-demand viewing. If anyone is recording this meeting, please notify the chairperson. Seeing none, we'll get going. Carrie, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So first we have...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I
You got to do a roll call?
I need to call a roll. For the meeting of 6, Tommy Doan. No. Barbara Madison.
Here.
John Papalardo. Joanne Sprague.
Here.
Andy Young is here. Kristen Andres.
Here.
Tracy Shields.
Here.
Eric Whiteley.
Here.
And Stephen Daniel is absent. All right, thank you. Now, Carrie. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh, I don't know quite what this is. No, that's...
So first,
Go
we're
ahead, Gary.
going over the FY 2026 budget for the community center and the Center for Active Living. We have a budget for FY 2026 in the amount of $3,135,237 for FY 2026. That includes the Center for Active Living, Recreation and Beaches, Lighthouse Beach, Human Services, Veteran Services, Libraries, Public Ceremonies, other public events, Chatham Band and Railroad Museum. But we'll be going over Veteran Services, Libraries, Public Ceremonies, and other public events in Chatham Band and Railroad next week. So just for this presentation, we'll be going over Center for Active Living, which has a budget for FY 2024 in the amount of $654,904. Human Services with a budget of $328,550. Recreation and Beaches for FY 2026 is $1,204,959. And Lighthouse Beach for an operating budget of $66,672. There is a FY 2026 capital item for $50,000 for the community center gymnasium wall padding. And there are 2 capital warrant articles that we'll be going over. One is the child care voucher program. That's an annual request every year. And we also have the establishment of a revolving fund, 53E.5 for the Riders Cove Respite Adult Supportive Day program that I'll be going over as well. And we have Amy Howell and Leah Lacrosse here to go over the budget.
Carrie, thank you. Before we take up with the other speakers, I'll note that Finance Committee member John Papalardo joined us just as you started speaking. So he's now present. That's great. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption. Please continue, and if you would be kind enough to introduce yourself to the viewing audience.
Certainly. Good afternoon. My name is Leah Lacrosse. I'm the Director of Department of Community Services. This is Amy Howell. She's the Deputy Director of Community Services in the Recreation and Beaches Division, and we'll be sharing our proposed budget with you. So as you know, Community Services encompasses Council on Aging or the Center for Active Living, Recreation, Beaches, including Lighthouse Beach, also Human Services. So just to show you the big jump we took this year, we had total unduplicated participants was 1,400 plus, which is 23% of Chatham's year-round population. So I think we're serving a good chunk of the population, which we're thrilled about. And the total number of active outreach clients is 277. So those 1,400 plus participants signed in a total of 4,519 times as far as programs and services over the past year. Total unduplicated transportation participants is 115, providing 3,458 one-way rides and grocery deliveries. And that included round-trip trips to the Orleans Day program as well. And our transportation program keeps growing. Right now, we're an average of 30 to 34 rides per day through our services, which is great. So our budget overview for salaries, we did go up $157,000 this year, but that was due to the fact that the contractual wage and step increases and the addition of 3 new staff members for the Adult Supportive Day Program. Those 3 positions were funded this year through a grant, and that grant is not an ongoing grant, it's a one-time. So the town will absorb the cost of those 3 employees, and then that was what we're asking for the revolving fund for, to be able to use the funds that we take in for the day program to provide the programs, the food, and the services there. For our expenses, we did go up $3,400 this year, and that was due to an increased office supplies, meetings, dues, travel, and postage. That reflects the additional staff, and it also, for our Healthy Meals in Motion program that we work in collaboration with the Family Food Pantry for, I think at this time last year, we had 22 participants in that program. This year, we're up to 50 families in Chatham, and in each month, we have to do a mailing, a self-addressed stamped envelope in which they return their grocery list for us. So that was the additional funding requested for the postage.
Leah, there's a question up here.
Sure.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Leah, can you remind me what active outreach clients are?
Sure. Active outreach clients are clients who seek out services. It might be help with, they may not be able to afford fuel for their house, like fuel assistance. So we help them with applications for that. It might be food insecurity. It might be helping families navigate through looking for assisted living facilities or other resources. So we have one outreach coordinator, and they see any outreach clients. Someone might be referred to us. We get a lot of referrals for people who say, hey, my neighbor is acting a little strange. I'm worried about her. Could you please check? 9 times out of 10, they're already a client of ours, and we'll do a phone call and go to the house, make a house visit, make sure there's food in the refrigerator, and that they're not in cognitive decline or anything like that.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Leah, from me, I have a question about whether or not you all are looking for any additional funding opportunities for the day program.
Yes. Yes, we'll always be looking for it. In fact, our next meeting, the grantees are required to attend a meeting each month altogether. And at our next meeting, at the end of this month, they're going to talk about future funding opportunities.
Now, is that a state or federal?
That's state.
It is, okay. Do you know
Yes.
whether it's a federal pass-through?
You know, I'm not sure. I actually suspect it is, but there are plenty of state agencies that offer grants too. We're looking everywhere for grants for a lot of programs.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, Barbara, go ahead.
Leah, how many people do we have in that daycare program, and how many do you think we'll have when, this year, I guess, or next year, when Orleans won't accept our people anymore and we have to take those?
So, good question. Orleans is not accepting anymore, so the ones that they have are just ones that they have had. The families, we did get 2 families from Orleans that came in, but going forward, Orleans, in order to help us out, will not be taking any more Chatham residents going forward, so they're just keeping the ones they have right now. And that goes through a natural attrition process. So right now, we have 5, and they vary, on the attendance days. Some people attend both days, and some attend one day, but we have 5 total. And the reason for that is because we have, at this time, have not hired a second staff person. So our ratios will only allow us to have 5 maximum until that second or third person is hired, I should say. Thank you. The Human Services budget overview. The requests have gone down 2% this year. And that is because the recommendation went down due to there being no requests from the Family Pantry of Cape Cod, Duffy Health Center, and the Independence House this year. We're not sure why they didn't submit applications, but they didn't this year. And that number also includes a $5,700 grant match request from the Cultural Council. The new child care voucher amount that the Human Services Committee is recommending is $175,000 this year. And just to give you an idea, the total households that received awards from the child care voucher last year was 55 households. 37 of the 55 awards were for Chatham households, or 67%, and the rest were town employees, so 18 town employees. The total beneficiaries were 80 children using the voucher funds, so we thought that was pretty good. And all funds were encumbered in October. So there were some folks on the waiting list, so they are hoping by making this recommendation that there won't be anybody on the waiting list.
Leah, my rough math tells me that's almost $20,000 each for the beneficiaries.
Childcare is quite expensive. It's about average of $1,800 to $2,000 a month.
Thank you. That just confirms what my daughter tells me.
She's not lying, I promise. See here. So we have no capital requests for FY 2026 this year. And a capital article is anticipated for funding the renovations to the CFAL at 193 Stony Hill. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. So for Recreation and Beaches, by the numbers, this past year, we offered 42 different programs and events with 109 sessions between those 42 programs, with a little over 3,800 registrations for those programs and events. Our fitness room at the community center, we currently have 680 active members, but for the last year, we had over 7,700 access scans to use the fitness room. So it is a well-used facility at the community center. For reservations throughout town facilities, so this includes parks, beaches, the community center is obviously the biggest. So any programs, baseball games, meetings, reservations, that all go through us. There was over 2,400 that came through our system this past year. And for beach stickers sold just at the gates, as you can see, we had over 8,700 dailies, 554 weeklies, and 52 seasonal beach stickers sold just at the gates. Does anyone have any questions on any of that? Okay. So our budget this year, you can see we're going up about $62,000 to $1,033,000. The majority of that in the salary wages is for contractual obligations, and then increase to our seasonal staff, a 3% increase to all of our seasonal staff, which we average 40 to 65 a summer, so that would create a substantial increase. For expenses, we are going up 11,000 to 171,820, and that's just from two of our line items. One would be our Porta-John contract, again, due to inflationary and contractual costs, and then our windmill line item, and that is just for maintenance of the windmill that continues to go up due to inflationary costs, and we just want to make sure that we can maintain the windmill. So total 1.2 million for 6.48 increase. Any questions?
Amy, with regard to portable toilets, are we seeing a demand for installations elsewhere in town?
None that have come to us. I mean, we have a pretty robust fleet of Porta-Johns out there. So the only one we added was White Pond this past summer, just due to the facility that was there was kind of closed. So that's the only one that we've added. But they are at every beach, in park that we don't have permanent facilities at.
Okay. And the contract, is that let out every year?
Yes, yep. We typically work with Barnstable County, and they do a county-wide bid. We're actually in the process, and they should be coming back within a week. So we work with them every year. So we went up because it's just continued to go up and up. So we went up 15% this year in our guesstimate.
Thank you.
So for Lighthouse Beach, you're just going to see a small increase in our salary and wage line. And again, that is just for a 3% raise for our seasonal workforce there for our beach patrol. Our expenses, we remain level funded, so it's a little over 3% increase for Lighthouse.
Amy, I do have a question about that. I'll grant you, maybe it's the time of year I was going by, but it seemed to me every time I went by in my boat, there weren't a whole lot of people in the water. How much need do we still have, in your opinion, for the beach patrol down there?
So the reason you're not going to see a lot of people in the water is because the main job of the beach patrol is to really educate the public about the dangers of Lighthouse Beach. Obviously marine life, but the biggest danger there is the currents that come and go, especially at tidal changes. And so, we really, as they're not, typical lifeguards, even though they do have their certification, their goal there is to educate the public that it's not a safe place, typically, especially at those times in the day. So, when obviously if you're familiar with Lighthouse Beach, when you first walk down is typically where you're going to see anyone that swims. We really try and get our beach patrol out to the point at those tidal changes to bring anyone in that may have, wandered out at those points.
I remember that was the sensitive area in
Yep.
years past.
Yeah.
That sounds like it still is.
Yep.
Thank you. Others? No, doesn't look like it.
We have one capital request, and it's for our gymnasium wall padding. That's original to the gym, so over 15 years. It's for $50,000, and it's to replace the whole padding system that has just reached the end of its life. There's cuts, they're falling off the wall, and it's really paramount to the safety of the patrons that use the gym. So we are looking to replace it.
I don't see anybody clamoring with questions. All right,
That's it.
thank you. Other questions? Anybody online have questions? I'm not seeing any hands raised. All right, good.
I guess we're boring.
Mr. Chair, I think there are not as many questions. That was very well presented. Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much.
Very clear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. So I'll just go over, I know that Leah went over the child care voucher program. Do you need any more information on that one? That's a normal article that we typically have. It's just, okay. So the other article that we'll be presenting is the establishment of a revolving fund, a 53E&a-half for the Riders Cove Respite Adult Day Program. So due to losing the funds for the grant so that we won't have in FY 2026, we'll be basically asking for program fees to come from the participants. And because the money has never been used to set our tax rate, this is the time to be able to establish a revolving fund. The program fees and any donations will go into this fund and to use for expenses for the program, such as, you know, like the food that Leah said, or any additional expenses that they might need for crafts or whatever they're doing during the program. And the total expenditure for FY 2026, because we weren't really sure of how much expenses, you have to set an expenditure limit, so it's at $50,000 for FY 2026.
Mr. Chair,
Please go ahead.
how do you know when you need this type of revolving fund? How would these expenses be handled otherwise?
If we didn't have the revolving fund, then we would have to increase the budget in the community services to reflect the money that we would need for the programs, because otherwise the money would go into the general fund as revenue, and then we'd have to increase the expenses on the other side. So the revolving fund is there, so you just take the money, you put it into the revolving fund, and as you collect the money, you expend through that fund.
So you consider that a better way of bookkeeping?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. It's just like the revolving fund that we use for recreation and beaches. They have a revolving fund as well, and the Shellfish, they have a revolving fund. But because this money has never been set for the tax rate, this is the time to actually establish the fund.
Okay,
Because
thank
it's
you.
new money for the town. You're welcome.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Sorry, go ahead, Tracy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to ask, if that is the receptacle, say we do get some generous donations, is it that it would never be appropriate, though, to use that fund to pay for staff or additional staff?
So in order to, you can pay for part-time staff from a revolving fund. However, if you pay for a full-time person, you also have to pay for their benefits as well through there. So then you're increasing fees for a program to offset.
Carrie, an associated question. So am I concluding right that this $50,000 amount here is not currently incorporated into the budget?
No, it's just a limit of expenditure. So all revolving funds, you have to set a limit for expenses for the year. Yep.
Right, but we haven't taken this.
We
into
haven't taken
account.
any money in yet.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Great, thank you. Other questions for Carrie on this? Doesn't look like it. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next.
So the next on the agenda is the Chamber of Commerce budget for FY 2026, which is a level-funded budget at $95,000. And the Executive Director, Angela Bucar, is here to go over her budget for the year.
Good afternoon, members of the Finance Committee. We're happy to be here. I'm actually here with Megan Penn, our current president of the Chamber of Commerce. So she's here in just support of some questions that may come up around membership. Mr. Daniels did ask yesterday afternoon to be able to present our schedule of membership dues. So we will and have that available, and also the breakout of what our membership looks like, if there are any questions around that. Megan's been championing a lot of those activities happening with reworking our packages. So for the viewing audience, I'm Angela Bucar. I'm the Executive Director of the Chatham Chamber of Commerce and Merchants Association, accompanied with Megan Penn Lyon, who is our current president. And we do have to, we start with a PSA that we recorded for Membership Drive. We got on sound? I think so. Hello? Oh, it wants to play. It's weird. Oh. All right, well, we'll just skip ahead. Oh, there it goes.
Hi, my name is Megan Penn, and I'm the current president of the Chatham Chamber of Commerce. In 2025, the Chatham Chamber of Commerce and Merchants Association proudly celebrates 93 years of strengthening our community and fostering economic growth year-round. Since 1932, we've been dedicated to supporting every segment of Chatham's vibrant economy. From retail shops, restaurants, and lodging, to trades, professional services, and creative industries. We understand that a thriving Chatham means opportunity for everyone, every season. Membership in the Chamber is more than a connection. It's a commitment to our community's success. As a member, you'll gain access to valuable resources like marketing opportunities, professional development, and advocacy on issues that matter to local businesses. Plus, our networking events help you build relationships with fellow members across industries because we're stronger when we work together. The Chamber also plays a vital role in promoting Chatham as a destination for visitors while supporting the businesses and organizations that make our town a dynamic place to live, work, and play, not just in the summer, but all year long. As we celebrate 93 years of growth and collaboration, we invite you to join us in shaping Chatham's future. Whether you're a local entrepreneur, tradesperson, artist, or service provider, the Chamber is here to help you succeed. Visit www.chathaminfo.com today to learn more about membership, upcoming events, and how we can support your business. The Chatham Chamber of Commerce, 93 years of building a stronger, year-round economy together.
Well done, Megan. That was actually in partnership with Cape Media out of Dennisport. So they were wonderful in having us there, and we were able to film right in studio. So we had a great time doing that a couple weeks ago. So the budget appropriation is the request level funded in 2026. And this actually supports our visitor center. So we have our Bassett House, which is located at the end of Meeting House Road, or formerly 137, the Captain Bassett House. And then we have our seasonal Mayo House, or the small visitor booth, which sits right at in town proper. And we service that visitors booth throughout the whole season, 7 days a week, and we have staffing that it also takes place there. We also do have a couple of outside contractors that work with us to help support initiatives like the year-round economy that we just covered in the video, but also in help to support with web development, social media presence, and any sort of boosting or advertising that we would need to bring for folks to come to our events off-season. We know that there are internationally, we're very well covered in advertising, certainly in season, but this is really to help develop and bolster that off-season and that year-round economy. So we're working closely with that and are seeing trends, good trends. We just actually got an annual report from our web folks to show that we are doing great things in an optimization way, being able to really be found from a keyword standpoint as people are searching, not only for our local events, but an introduction of what we also did with launching a new website in July was to add an artificial intelligent chatbot, which is actually ChatGPT. If you're familiar with any sort of artificial intelligence, it is a conversational chatbot, which has given us over 1,000 conversations, of which we can see how people are engaging not only with the website, but actually how they're searching and questions about how to find local businesses. It actually is using and is being used as a lead source as well for residents that are looking either for a plumber or for someone to help with their home services. So it's doing multiple things. We do have a report. I have the top 10, and I believe it's in the packet, the top 10 conversations that chatbot is engaged in. But it's really, it's that next step. It's that 24/7 employee that's able to really service folks and be able to help people navigate and not have to go clicking through the website. You can quickly just ask a question, and the Chatty, we call it Chatty the chatbot, will engage with you and give you answers that you need. It can even build itineraries, so if you're in town and want to find out what's open or what's not open, or if you want to come and just visit, it can build an itinerary. It can guide you to beaches, what's kid-friendly, what restaurants are open, where you may want to spend your time should you want to come and visit. So it's something that we're using as a data source, but it's also giving an increased amount of information as we start to see trends, not only in Barnstable County, but throughout the state as well. And we are the first chamber to engage at this level with an artificial intelligent chatbot. It's not your standard, hi, we want to sell you something. It really is a helper on site. So we're super proud of that. It's been 6-7 months that we've had it launched, and we're really not only proud about the new site that we've launched, but the way that people are easily able to find information. It was well overdue. The site was pretty old, so with that. Town grant request of fiscal 2026 is level funded as it has been for the past couple of years. As you may remember, I started this position a little over a year ago, and it took a good 12 months to analyze and be able to really look through how the chamber was being executed, and also, where can we start to cut expenses, where can we start to grow our lines, where can we increase our membership opportunities. So it's been a year of learning and experiencing how to change and really make this a thriving and healthy business locally. But we are asking again for the $95,000. $75,000 will carry and take care of I have one full-time operations staff member, Danita Scribner, who's here in the audience today. And then I have visitor service representatives that not only staff the Captain Bassett House, but also our information booth downtown. And Dan McPhee is here. He's one of our leads, and also serves as a scribe for our chamber meetings as well. So well-versed. Danita's been with the business for over 17 years, so a lot of institutional knowledge there. And Dan, I can't remember how long you've been there, but too long. So they're both institutions and have been a guiding light and a guiding source to helping me understand where we were, where we're going, and how to forge forward.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Go ahead.
the information booth, is that in the new Eldridge parking lot, or do you still have the old one?
So it's still the old small booth that sits right at the top of Town Hall parking lot.
Right, yeah.
That was formerly on the Mayo property, which is now the conservation. So it was actually part of that estate, and then they moved the booth across the street.
So you don't have an information booth at the restroom area
That is not manned.
okay, it's
Yeah.
just a visitor center there?
It's a transportation center,
Okay,
and then it's Chatham Valet that works out of there, so Mladen, who has his valet service. And then it's just currently it's a transportation center
well,
with,
I thought originally it was going to be a visitor center.
not sure, but that is a great idea.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? And I am prepared with financials to go through.
Please, Barbara.
Hi. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you have any way to measure the amount of traffic that we get, like the number of day visitors that you get in the town?
So, great question. I do have statistics of which are provided in the ebook as well. I have State of Massachusetts, I also have the Cape Cod Commission reports, and then the Chamber of Commerce, the regional chamber. And all of those links inside of the ebook, you can look at the different statistics about, it's really based on tax information, number of travelers. The Regional Chamber of Commerce actually has the name of the software just jumped out of my head, but basically they can track the number of people that are coming over the bridge, and it's through credit card spend, and it's through cell service. So if you are in some sort of Wi-Fi service or you're on Cape, they have the ability, it's called, shoot, I wish I had the name of, anyway, they have invested in that software, so they have really clear data on how many people are actually crossing the bridge, where they're spending their money, where they're staying, and as they come to town. So it can be researched through zip code, but the Cape Cod Commission is also, prior to, or just when COVID came, they started a data, capecoddata.org, and the Cape Cod Commission has also formulated data around what that looks like as well.
So I'm guessing you guys probably do keep track of that data.
We do, and with my colleagues across the Cape, there are 15 towns that each have their local chambers. We meet bi-monthly, and those are statistics that we talk about, and we meet quarterly with the regional chamber to go over some of what that looks like as well.
So do you have any idea of like how many people we had in June, July, and August of this past year?
We could go in and I didn't have that prepared, but we can, if you'd like, I'm happy to go into the website and we can take a look, and if you want to see.
I just have one question, sorry. There was a slide that has attendance for visitor center. Is that what you're looking for?
So I think she's looking for cumulative visitors.
okay.
I can't tell you how many people have stopped into our visitor centers. We have all of that data, but I don't have the cumulative data of how many people actually came to Chatham, parked their vehicle, spent the day, or spent, time here with their families. That would be a higher level data point that we could research. I just only have what is representative to what our staff was able to collect, if that helps at all, but.
Others? Go ahead, Joanne.
Well, thank you. This is what we've been asking for a number of years now, a complete budget breakdown for us to look at. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, I have a few. One of the line items is called economic development. That's $20,000. And I wish you would characterize for us what that is.
Sure. So back to the web development, back to the opportunity to grow our social presence, and also our print media supplement, which we present and do for the town of Chatham, which is our guidebook, and now we're transitioning it to actually being Chatham 2025 handbook. So part of that, and then additionally, is any sort of spend advertising that would help to promote our annual events, our signature events that we do in partnership with the Cape Cod, or the Chatham Merchants Association. So it really is a small stipend that helps to facilitate some of what we need to do to grow the development of not only the events locally, but also help to bolster membership as well.
Along those lines, I did have a question. One of your slide decks says, in 2024 accomplishments, overall reach and membership growth, membership in 2024 was 34 versus 2023 of 11.
That's net new. So
Net
those are
new.
net new
Okay.
members, so we tripled our numbers net
I see.
new.
What is the actual membership number?
We're at 355.
So you've gained, this year you gained 34.
Net new
Right,
members,
okay,
correct.
Right, now I understand, because it seemed like an awfully small number.
Yes, we would probably not be relevant, should that be. All of these folks working visitor centers with only, a small representation of the business.
And I will say, I mean, we know that periodically, the police department tries to estimate the number of people in town during the summer. And although it's informal and tough to check, I mean, we've heard as high as 10,000 daily visitors. Certainly at some point this past summer, I would have believed that. It seemed like pretty much everywhere in town was packed. Does that comport in any way with the kind of data that you have, or?
So, I'm actually just bringing up the Mass Department of Revenue to see what we have for numbers here. There's Chatham. Okay, so it just goes over estimate excise tax penalties, rentals, Department of Revenue Recreation, miscellaneous non-reoccurring. It does not give us a total of visitors, but there may be an opportunity here to go into the commission data dashboard. Town profiles, hopefully it's been updated. Year-round population estimate is, and this is just 2023 data of the 6643, and diplomas, median house. It does not give me travel information, but that is something I'd love to follow up with if I can get that clear data for the town of Chatham from the Cape Cod Regional Chamber based on the software that they have. I would be just as interested, but I'm going to bet, as I'm a betting, that it probably tripled. So we could see as high as maybe 15 or 18,000 people coming to town.
Oh, I have almost no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be that we had to estimate our seasonal population for seasonal liquor licenses, and usually the select board chose a number in the order of 30 to 32,000, which I'd say is probably about right. You know, an awful lot of them being seasonal, they're going to show up in the best months of the year. Probably not here today. But,
It's a bit quiet.
I think that, you know, there's a number of people have expressed to me, and I'm sure others have in town, that, you know, at one point, do we need to stop beating the drum for additional visitors? I mean, certainly, it made a difference to have the community service officers on Main Street to at least try
They're
to
wonderful,
restore some order.
wonderful partners.
But nevertheless, the amount of vehicle traffic, the amount of foot traffic, at times seemed pretty excessive. We've had some people that have decided that, you know, Chatham is the place to come and party, sometimes out of control. You know, and you know, I guess the real reference that people are making is, gee, what's the quality of life in Chatham year-round for our year-round residents? You know, because we have so many visitors who come, particularly in the high season. Do you have anything you want to respond to that, or?
So that's part of what we're challenged and championed to do, is to really help bolster that year-round economy. We don't need to advertise in the summer. If anything, we're probably a little bit more cognizant of, and myself driving down Main Street as well, to even service and go to see the staff, I can't even find a parking spot. So there's some sensitivity, you know, certainly as we look at that. But we really, Shireen Davis said the other night, you know, what are we doing to really help support the year-round economy? Because it is, and I believe there's an optic out there that people think that the chamber is downtown-centric, when we're really trying to work with our nonprofits. We're trying to work with the Conservation Commission, walking trails, our friends with the Garden Club. and really start to bolster and anchor some of the other villages in town, west, north, and south. It's important that we are looking at opportunities, and certainly businesses that have come in and want to stay open year-round, just like Cape Cod Works. You know, Fred and Lindsay, they are struggling to keep that alive, and it's tough because in the summer, they've got all the members that they need to come and work out at the gym, but now, you know, certainly as it gets quiet, things, you know, they slow down. So part of what we have and what we're looking at is really doing member networking opportunities with Breakfast Connects and also working with the Cape Cod Tech Council, doing digital literacy programs and helping businesses that may not have the foot traffic in the off season. And really, it's just January, February, March, because April starts to kick off with school vacation, people starting to come back. So our season is 9 months. It does seem very consolidated in those 13 weeks when we start from Memorial Day until Labor Day. That's really the high concentration, and that's when a lot of our second homeowners come to spend time at their residences here. So it is the cyclical nature, having grown up here and been here for many, many generations. And you know, Megan's family's had a business on Main Street for 100 years, and it's, you know, fourth generation family owned. So we've all seen some of these changes. We know what it looks like, but we're, as a community, trying to work together to make sure that families want to come here and that people want to come and live here and enjoy all year round versus just those weeks. I remember growing up as a child, you know, we would be excited when the summer kids came to play and we'd have fun, but you know, we couldn't wait for them to return home. And the traffic, we experience it in every town, but more certainly as we look at that really attractive downtown area, that's where people are generally drawn to.
Granted, Joanne, did you have something?
Yes, I do. Our businesses, our small businesses, most of them, are what make Chatham wonderful for all of us, not just the visitors. And I can't imagine any one of them not wanting less business. And I can't imagine us as a town wanting to determine how much business they need in order to survive. They need all the business they can get. And the fact of having too many people in Chatham, I think that will always be difficult to do anything about, but it's wonderful when we have all the events that the chamber sets up. And it's wonderful in the Christmas holidays when it can be cold and rainy and glum, and we have the different events that come with the stroll weekend and first night, of course. So I don't know how you're going to have a vibrant, livable town and say that can we decide to have not so many people come here.
Well, and you know, Bruno Mars has been here, Elton John's been here, we've
Yes.
filmed television shows here and movies. I think we're very well known.
We get enough rest in the wintertime, believe me. We get enough room on the
we all
sidewalks.
hibernate, and for even
want to
just you know, working and at Megan's manager here in the Puritan Clothing downtown. After working day in and day out, and you know, certainly Hangar B, and as your business is, you know, it's booming, people also want to have work-life balance and take a little vacation too. So I think we have to recognize that the folks that are running their businesses and are functioning throughout that high season to support the folks that come, that they also take a break. But we also are in a situation where we don't have a strong workforce. You know, we have seasonal workers, or we have situations where people can't afford to live here and then be able to work as well. So there are bigger constraints that we're working with and partnering with some of our you know, colleagues and businesses, and doing things with mass hire and doing job fairs to help support the businesses so that they can have a viable workforce. We had a breakfast networking yesterday with Atlantic Payroll. They're also CPA, Steve Allard. And they were talking yesterday morning about just being able to find qualified people to come and support them to even just do their payroll services. So this is a bigger conversation that we're all having. But, you know, the visitors come, they infuse the money, and it's important. But we are looking at and facing even more difficult conversations specifically for those small and medium-sized businesses.
Well, I'm just a user of the services, and it might be a good idea if there are any of the businesses, small businesses themselves want to speak to that issue. Thank you.
Thank
Tracy?
you.
Speaking
Funny
of
you
a
should
small
ask,
business-
Joanne. I had just had my hand up. As a small business owner in town, to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't mind a little less demand at the door in the summer months. It generates real frustration amongst people that would like to patronize the business, which doesn't make me happy as the business owner. However, I certainly am not on the side of trying to discourage anyone from coming to Chatham, but I just wanted to share in my experience as a business owner and as a chamber member, which I would not vote on a chamber issue, but as a member, I have noticed a greater emphasis put on the year-round business support and encouragement, and less in advertising to come in July and August. I think that that's a misconception that's all the chamber does is try and bring people in the summer. I think that there's a lot of support that is given to making it a year-round effort, and as somebody who can also attest to the difficulty with the workforce, I think the greater year-round viability the businesses have, the easier it is going to be for us to draw from a pool of labor that will live here year-round because they'll be able to afford to pay bills year-round.
Thank you,
Kristen?
Tracy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a couple of questions. One is related to your expenditures, the expenses, and there's the 30,700 member benefits and services. Can you give some examples of what the expenses are related to that, other than, I'm sure there's staff time and production of the booklet, but are there other things that are, I don't know, what would be the other expenses under that?
So the breakdown of that is really built into, that's the roll-up or the top-level ledger of which that is, but it's around outreach, advertising, member services, and hosting some of the networking events, annual events. Danita, what else has under member services? She's my operations manager, so I have to lean on her sometimes.
Actually, I think also the development of,
Yeah, you would have to take the
speak into the
microphone,
microphone.
please.
I need to go up there. Sorry. It's also involves the website development with the chat bot being implemented, so we pay for social media, and, it all rolls up as a benefit to our members for the different functions that are included to help them with their businesses, if that helps you. I don't have the figures in front of me, otherwise I could speak more intelligently.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to see some more details, because then the second line does say public relations, communications, print media, and staffing is 75,740, so.
So we do have if we could bring in a ledger that is that long through our QuickBooks online, but really specifically, the grant that we're asking for level funding is just around staffing and that small economic development. So I'd have to go to the board to release those documents.
Okay, thank you. The other question is kind of a follow-up to Tracy's comments about local businesses. I was wondering if you've seen any, well, I guess, let me just preface by saying, I think, we have a lot of wonderful businesses downtown, but not necessarily businesses that local folks, average local folks might go and purchase and make use of. So I'm wondering whether either what the effort of the chamber is in supporting, or whether you've seen other businesses that might be enticed to come to town that would actually provide services that us average folks might partake of.
Outside of the
sure.
Mayflower and Ben Franklin.
Yeah,
Um,
'cause, yeah.
And the
Well,
loss
I
of-
like the Ben Franklin.
And I love
but-
Ocean State Job Lot too. I mean, they're a Rhode Island company, but
Right.
you can get everything from A to Z there.
Right.
So certainly, we're looking at that, and we're looking at bringing in more diversity. We would love to have more different types of flavor, so to speak, with bringing in Brazilian businesses, Haitian businesses, and other businesses that make up the color and fiber of who we are. There's over 15 different languages currently being spoken at the Monomoy school system, and I think it needs to be representative in our business community as well. So I do agree with you. T-shirt shops and the things that there are some staples like Puritan that's been there 100 years and has been a wonderful institution, but it would be nice to have another general store. We have the small village market, but we don't even have our own local grocery store here. So, when you have to go to Harwich to get to a major grocery store. So some of those types of businesses, also bringing in technology. It would be great to bring in a little bit more tech or higher education, things that are going to be, certainly as we evolve and as the space continues, but it's also an attraction point to bring residents to come and live here and want to experience the life with bringing in more businesses of that mind.
Thanks.
It's okay. I have a couple of additional questions. I think that one of the issues that we struggle with every year is that right now, for instance, we're providing 40% of the chamber's annual funding that even exceeds the amount of membership dues. Does that seem like an appropriate balance?
So we are doing, our sign on the building actually says Town of Chatham Visitor Service Center, and the staffing is really what is incorporating, and we're doing the service of being the first responders, in lack of other terms, for folks who are looking for information. If that didn't exist, and if the information centers didn't exist, it would likely be a town position, or something that would be a travel or Bureau of Tourism, similar to what Provincetown has. So it would have to be an introduction of bringing in that department. So we are doing that service of the $75,000 to staff year-round, and also in our visitor service center downtown for the 7 days a week at 7.5 hours a day.
My question also dovetails into the question of when were membership dues last increased?
Great question. So in 2023 is when the Merchants Association and the Chatham Chamber of Commerce actually merged. The association sits with the chamber, but what we did is that we folded in the membership with the current Chatham Chamber membership, and the due structure has not increased, but Megan is here to talk about what some of our strategies are going forward as we're doing an analysis of what other towns are doing by packaging and pulling things together, so it's not always hey, can you sponsor this? Hey, can you do these types of things? So we are looking at evolving, not necessarily with complete increase in dues, but also opportunities for sponsorships year-round, because we ask them for advertising in the handbook. We ask them to help support our events that we do as well. So there's an analysis that we're going through, but we're currently 4 months into our fiscal year. Our year is actually October 1st through September 30th. So we would have to not only make the packages, but we'd always also have to have them voted on at our annual meeting, which will happen at the end of our fiscal year. So this change is on the horizon. It's one of our top priorities to be able to not only sustain and thrive, but it's an opportunity for us to really understand, how much is Chatham Bars contributing in kind, sponsorships, full pages, banners. I mean, you could go down the list of all of the partnerships that we have with some of our members, but we want to really encapsulate it and make it a suite of packages that members can choose to do should they want to participate at any level with the events that we do year-round, and then also be able to sponsor networking events. We're doing Historic Chatham this year, the month of June, so there's those types of things that we really want to present at the beginning of the annual year when membership dues are renewing, so that businesses have that opportunity to participate at any level.
Megan, did you want to speak to that?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. So it's really exciting, I think, for us as far as membership dues go, instead of looking short-term at just raising dues in order to start to kind of absorb some of these costs and cover them on our own, to look at it as a bigger picture. A lot of neighboring towns are doing what Angela had mentioned as far as this package structure goes, and it's been going really well for them. That change started in the early 2010 era and has really started picking off after COVID. So we feel like this is a great opportunity, instead of just making a short-term change that would help us for the next 2 to 3 years, to make a bigger change that can have longevity of the chamber and really kind of support our members.
Is the notion to attempt to raise enough money to cover the budget?
The notion is to raise more money than we currently have.
Well, fair enough. That's another way to put it, right? Okay. I mean, there are competing ideas of what we should do with the $95,000. Amongst others, should we actually be using it to defray the cost of a shuttle bus downtown? All right, to run between the major parking areas and to serve the visitors that are here, right, particularly during the high season. Is that a better use of the funds? I don't know. I just know
Once they get on the bus and get dropped off, where are they going to go for information? Yeah. So I think we have to look at it holistically, and we have to look at it that there, I think, is an answer. But should a shuttle bus be picking up people at the community center, and then they are shuttled into town, but they're going to want information when they get there, unless there's some sort of off-site information center, or the use of walking into either the annex here or to town hall to get information.
Or the chamber is able to raise enough money to pay for it itself.
Potentially,
Potentially.
yes.
Right. I mean,
But that's something I think we need to look at in a plan of being able to staff and have that type of information center. Whereas a year into this position, it's to student body right that quickly. It would, we had to rebuild the infrastructure first before we can start to. And the members need a return on their investment as well. When they're paying these dues, what are they getting in return? Just to jack up pricing, they say, well, it was, why has it gone up 150? What more am I getting? It's that old, what's in it for me? So we are very aware, and we would love to be self-funded, and we're working towards that. It just takes a little bit of time to reorganize it, and we have 2 boards that are working very closely together now. They're in executive session to look at what our bylaws look like. We're looking at how to rebuild our committees. So we have 4 committees: beautification, events, marketing, and membership. And each of those pillars have very strong chair people that are running those different committees. So we are, from an infrastructure standpoint, aware of some of this. It just takes time to really build, as Megan said, a foundation that is long-term, not just a reactive raise dues because, and we want to make sure that there's a return.
Thank you. Do Finance Committee members have any other questions, comments, points? No? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And I
Appreciate
did, in this here, this is the breakdown of the membership dues, which is also available on our website. So if you just go in to join today. And then I did want to show you the breakdown. So 178 of our members is in the specialty retail, 125 in restaurant space, 75 in family civic organizations, 67 in sports and recreation, 43 in arts and culture, 41 in home and garden, lodging, travel, personal services, care, and then advertising and media. So that's the pie chart of how it all breaks out and what the actual holistic view of membership looks like. And then on the right-hand side, you can see the graph is the increase of the new members that were brought on. We are currently, we were pacing at 5 per month. I have challenged the membership committee to bring on 60 new members this year, which will double our numbers from last year, and we are working actively towards that. We are seeing also businesses from other towns joining the chamber. So Harwich, Brewster, and multiple businesses. So Pond Devignon, for instance, who is based out of Hyannis, starts a business in Chatham. They have multiple locations. They then are eligible to join as well. So we are seeing that businesses in other towns are looking for marketing opportunities, but also customers and clients in the town of Chatham as well. So we're regionalizing, lack of better way, but Harwich, Orleans, Chatham, Brewster, and Eastham are really working very closely together to collaborate and share resources. So that is another opportunity as we look forward to really be seen as the Lower Cape region and start to do things together collaboratively and even hosting events.
Carrie, is this information in our budget book?
No, I think Angela just provided this today.
Okay. I was just curious. Right. Is that something that,
It might be in the packet.
Yes, it's what Mr. Daniels had requested yesterday afternoon. Yes, so this is something that was added this morning and sent over,
So
but
it's in the packet that I gave to you.
okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Just
Yes,
one more-
Joanne.
Just one more comment. Small business is the economic backbone of this country, and we have to remember also that this is a coastal community. We live here because of the water surrounds us, so we're fascinating to people in the summertime. How to convert that over to wintertime, I don't know, it's a question beyond me, but it is what it is as far as when the people want to come to Chatham. It's when the sun is out and they can go to the beaches and enjoy all the great restaurants. It's not when it's raining and cold and nobody's in the water.
we invite them to the Orpheum. We do ecotourism. We can cross-country ski if we get enough snow. Yeah, so I think that if we start to look at that, and the museums and some of the folks that I'm working with in the historic group are really trying to bolster that with even Tuesday talks at the Atwood House. The Conservation Commission is doing webinars. Marconi is bringing in new art exhibits. We are talking about STEM programs. So it's that downtime when I think people can really do a reset and be able to not only improve their infrastructure in their own businesses as a small business, but, you know, the ability to really go out and explore and do things a little differently. Social media takes off during this period of time to attract people. And even Hangar B was just covered in the news. So it's really cool to have different media outlets that are covering the town in a year-round capacity and not just in you know, the high season when we know everybody's here.
Okay, good presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody online who has any questions?
Nobody?
Not seeing any raised hands. Okay. All right. Good, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Carrie, back to you.
That's it for today. We don't have anything else on the agenda,
What's that?
unless you guys want to talk about scheduling and report to the select board. That's the next
Right.
item.
And, I mean, I'll just take the opportunity to emphasize once again that we need to make sure that our individual comments get to Stephen soon, because this calendar, I think, is that it goes to the select board on what, the 18th,
Yes, that's correct.
which is not far away. Anything else?
Which is in and of itself shocking.
What's that?
I said, which is in and of itself shocking.
That's right. Okay, all right, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Tommy Doan, he's not here. Barbara Madison,
Yes, I'll make that motion.
good.
Second.
Thank you.
Now second it.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. All right, good. We're on a roll. John Papalardo.
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you, John. Joanne Sprague.
Yes.
All right, myself, Tracy Shields,
Yep.
Eric Whiteley.
Yes.
And Stephen Daniel, we know, is not with us. All right. Thanks very much. We'll look
And I
forward to
vote
seeing you
yes.
all.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, all right.